Happy Saturday, everybody. Yes, we are doing a Saturday morning show here today for you guys, a special treat. And we are talking about fantasy football breakouts. That's a big question mark. Some big names. Will they break out this season? They had a decent season. Well, some of them had a decent season last year. Some of them didn't finish the whole season. But this is the year. Will these big guys break out? Big name guys break out? Guys like Anthony Richardson and more. We're going to talk about it, and we want to welcome to this show the great, the powerful, and we want to welcome him with a warm applause. Jim, welcome to the show.
Hey, good to be here, counselor.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Don't you feel warm when the applause kicks in, Jim? Don't you find it like warm and fuzzy when they kick in?
I think it's great that you got a studio audience there to cheer you on. I think it's fantastic. So
yeah, I pay them by the hour. It isn't much, and they're kind of like extras on a movie set. You know what I mean? We just pay them, and let's give a round of applause for the studio audience. Everybody, why don't you give yourselves a round of applause?
Oh, they didn't do it. Oh, there we go.
We're a little bit behind.
It took a little while to click in on my side. I'm like, they don't like each other.
So today we're talking about, guys, breakouts here. Again, big names like Anthony Richardson, Zay Flowers. Will they have a massive breakout year? We're going to talk about it. Before we get into that, guys, if you haven't gotten 16 rounds, secure the solution, secure the championship, sleepers, breakouts, optimal players drafting each round, everything you need. It's like having a bulletproof roster. I give you everything on it. Printable cheat sheet, video training. All the notes are going to be updated until the season starts. Grab 16 rounds, smash your leagues, and grab a ticket to the Sports Summit. It's a virtual online conference. This is huge, guys. This is massive. We're going to have Trey Benson. We're going to have Pat Fryermuth. We're going to have Kyron Williams there. It's going to be massive. So grab a ticket to the summit. Grab a ticket to 60 rounds. You can call with them below or get them separately. Jim, I'm super excited, man. Fantasy's almost back. It's the end of May. Once June hits, it is like full flow, man. Are you ready? Like you look kind of ready.
Oh yeah. I'm always ready for fantasy. I mean, I'm just, I'm doing all my drafts and having a good time. I'm kind of sad. I made my, I think we both did. We both made our last pick in our dynasty draft. So we got our team set, and, we will see what happens. I'm feeling good about my team, though, counselor. I know you don't like some of the players I picked, but I think this is a pretty good team. I think I'm going to be walking home with some cash at the end of the season.
Jim, it's a dynasty league, and half the players, actually 75% of players on your roster are older than you. So we got some concerns here about your roster.
That's not true. That's not true. I got 3 old guys on my roster, and all of them are way younger than me. But I still call them old guys. But yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I'll be fine.
In fantasy, you're allowed to call younger guys old guys. All right, that works.
That's part of the why I like fantasy football. It makes me feel good about myself when I'm calling a 30-year-old an old man.
All right, Jim, we don't have much in the news. We always, guys, if you're new to the channel, smash it, tap it, slap it. We do like a news. That is the thumbs up, by the way, not somebody else. Unless you want to, of course. But smash it, tap it, slap it, the thumbs up. And we do like a kind of like a news segment at the beginning here. And there really isn't much here in breaking news.
We now have breaking news.
I just want to highlight a couple quick things here. Pat Fryermuth, a guy who's coming to our sports summit, this is what we heard now. Pat Fryermuth has developed a connection with quarterback Russell Wilson early in the OTAs, according to beat writer Mark Caboli. So there we go, man. Pat Fryermuth, there you go. Some value maybe at tight end this year. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he definitely has to bounce back from last year. Last year was such a massive disappointment compared to his first 2 seasons. I think we're going to see more of a reversion to what we normally saw, which is about 100 targets. He should be good for should be good for fantasy, and probably will end up the season as a tight end 1. As to how high of a tight end 1 he is, I'm not sure, but I think Fryermuth should be great for fantasy. Good value.
I like him. Again, they got Roman Wilson, the rookie. Pickens is there. They've got freed up targets with Deontay Johnson gone. It's going to be an interesting situation, but Pat Fryermuth could be very valuable. I also want a couple notes here. They get nothing really crazy. Baltimore Ravens running back Derrik Henry is viewed as a closer by offensive coordinator Todd Monken, who said that if Henry carries it 300 times in 2024, then the team would have a hell of a year. He also noted the importance of keeping Henry healthy over the course of the season. So they're saying that, Derrik Henry, very, very important. He's going to carry it a lot. They're going to have a hell of a year with Henry. I mean, I like his value, man. Round 3 typically, man, in fantasy. What do you think, Henry?
Yeah, I think he's going to be fine for fantasy. He's going to get all the goal line work. He's going to get minimum 10 touchdowns, I'm going to say, but probably somewhere between 10 and 20 touchdowns. So that's good for fantasy. He will be good for your team. Yeah, I got no problem taking him, even though he is one of those old guys, man. Old man Henry.
Old man Henry in his last hurrah, I would say, for sure.
I don't know if it's his last hurrah. Again, I think he's more like a Frank Gore guy. He's going to keep playing for years. He's just going to become increasingly fantasy irrelevant over that time period. He's going to get less and less relevant each successive year, but he's still going to be heavily involved. So,
Yeah, it's the kid.
but it's a great situation, great offense. I'm excited for the Ravens this year.
All right, let's talk about this. The first guy, let's bring him up here again. Smash it, tap it, slap it. If you haven't gotten 60 rounds, grab 16 rounds. I've linked it below. You'll be like your side of the competition. Guys, I'm not over-exaggerating. You guys will have an optimal roster, right? First breakout here is Anthony Richardson. And again, the question, it's a question mark. This isn't like he's going to break out. We want to have open discussions. Usually on the show, we were talking about this when we were texting, Jim. And for the years, it's always kind of been the players that I like. And then when you came on, it was the players that you like. And it's kind of like, I just want to talk about all players and kind of have debates and discussions about them. One of them being, like in this case, Anthony Richardson, who I'm not high on because, he was a top prospect. He was drafted, I think, fourth overall a year ago, right? Not this year,
Something
but the year
like
before.
that. Yeah.
He's a first round pick, very highly touted, only played 4 games. So my question is the injury bug gonna linger around him? Is he an injury prone player or is he the real deal? Now, when you look at his stats, he played 4 games, he had 4 touchdowns. Rushing, 4 rushing touchdowns came in like 3 games. So he's an absolute beast near the goal line. He's going to be running a lot. This could impact Jonathan Taylor, but that's a whole other discussion as well. I mean, the talent is there, but I just think he's so expensive in fantasy drafts for a guy who's not proven. And Jim, the problem with me is not really a problem, but the thing that I look at is when I look at a quarterback, I want somebody who's established, somebody who's had consistency at the position. We haven't had that with Richardson. Now you're going to get you're going to get the upside, but you have no certainty with him. I'm scared. Like I would not draft him. Like I don't feel comfortable. I see the ceiling, Jim, but very risky for a guy who's quarterback number 6. I mean, people are drafting this guy ahead of guys that are proven, like Jordan Love, ahead of like Jared Goff, ahead of guys like Justin Herbert, ahead of guys that, even ahead of Dak Prescott, who's a little more proven, obviously. This is a risk, Jim. I don't like it, man. He's too expensive.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is obviously everybody sees the upside, right? I mean, this is a guy, if he could play 17 games, he's going to be a top 3 quarterback just because of his skill set and the rushing yards. He's very dynamic player, but yeah, I mean, he just hasn't proved that he has the durability to make it in the NFL. I swear he had his list of injuries. He had 4 touchdowns. He also had 4 major injuries in those games, including the season-ending one on his shoulder. So, he's been rehabbing from that. You look at his college stats, he really only played 1 full season, and his stats were his rushing stats were awesome, but his passing stats, average depth of target, 7.8 yards, only 2,500 passing yards, 17 touchdowns. It's nothing that blows me away, but people were just, his physicality and his measurables were so freakish that everyone thinks he's going to be, going to become like the next Josh Allen. I'm not sure I see that, but if he stays healthy, he's going to be good for fantasy. So,
Let's go on the 4 games that he did play. 20.92 points, right? Week 1, 17.74 and 29.6 and then 4.42. We played 9 completions, 12 attempts passing. I don't know if that was the game that he got injured. I didn't follow him too much.
That's the game when he got the shoulder injury and then he was out. So
okay, so we're taking
we just haven't seen enough, right? We haven't seen enough, and he hasn't shown that he's a durable enough player. And that was his problem in college too. Just a host of injuries while he was in college too. And so I'm not sure that he can hold up. That's why I'm not drafting him.
Like week 1, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Week 2, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Week 4, it was 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. So 3 touchdowns in those 3 games. I mean, and then he had those rushing touchdowns. He had 4 of them in 3 games. It's kind of hard to gauge, but you're getting a sense that he's going to be rushing a lot. You're getting a sense that he has some upside. He's going to average around 22 to 25 points a game. That's kind of what I'm getting off the limited time that he played. For me, that's risky for a guy that's coming off as a QB6, where I get way more certainty later on. And if you're going to gamble on a guy, go Jaden Daniels later. He's a rushing quarterback. He's dynamic. He's got some good weapons. And you can get him for free later. So that's the way I look at it, right? Like it's the same thing. You're basically drafting a rookie. So Anthony Richardson or Jaden Daniels, you could say, well, the Colts are maybe a more efficient offense, a little more secure, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, man. It's like drafting a rookie, and he's so high. It makes zero sense to me, although I do see the upside. So the big question is, will he break out? And to answer that, based on last year, absolutely. I mean, if he finishes the season, he breaks out, he becomes a top 10 quarterback, sure. But am I willing to draft him? I'm going to say no. Jim, are you drafting him? Would you draft him?
I don't think I would be touching him, man. Again,
No.
he is just too expensive and too risky. Frankly, I've been taking the established rushing quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts. I'd much rather have those guys. They're only a little bit more expensive on the draft board. You can get him in the 3rd or 4th round as opposed to the 5th or 6th for Anthony Richardson.
Right.
Frankly, I think it's just and I consider them better overall built teams
For
than
sure.
what the Colts have. So, I mean, that's the way I'm going to go. I do love my rushing quarterbacks. I want my rushing quarterbacks, but I don't think I'm going to be taking any Anthony Richardson. So,
All right, next guy here. I think you're the one who suggested we talk about this guy because he's on your dynasty team. But let's talk about him. Zay Flowers, who had a decent year last year, just under 1,000 yards. And the cool thing is he's still the alpha on the Ravens offense. This is really good. Now they got a running back threat with Lamar. Well, they got Lamar Jackson. Now they got Derrik Henry. This really opens up things for Zay Flowers, who I think takes a step up for the young man this year. When you mean breakout, Jim, you wanted us to mention him. What do you mean by breakout? Like to be like, he had a decent mini breakout last year. Would you say just completely explode onto the scene as a top 10 wide receiver type upside? What are you seeing here?
yeah, I believe he ended the season as like the wide receiver 24. He had 858 receiving yards. He had 56 rushing yards. But I just love the situation around him. First of all, Odell Beckham Jr. not on the team anymore, so that frees up targets. His other competition for targets is Rashad Bateman, who is someone who has never been able to do anything in the NFL.
Sucks.
Yeah, and so I could see that a big chunk of freed up targets are going to go to Zay Flowers. I mean, when rookie wide receivers place in the top 36 players for the year, typically in their second year, you'll see upwards of about a 30% increase in their volume. Which would be huge. That would be like an additional 30 targets for Zay Flowers. I see that as
Right.
his ceiling is an additional 30 targets, but at a minimum, he's going to get at least 10 to 20 more targets. And that's going to make him very valuable for fantasy this year. I do believe he is the number one receiver on this team. Mark Andrews just hasn't been able to stay healthy. He
Right.
hasn't been able to stay on the field. He's getting older. I mean, I don't have a lot of faith that Mark Andrews can complete a season anymore. So that leaves Zay Flowers as the guy. He's going to be the guy for Lamar Jackson. They're going more pass oriented on this team. That helps him as well. So I like it. I can't think of any reason not to draft him. I think he's an excellent choice, and he's a relatively good deal on the draft board too.
I think he's safe. The problem is Lamar Jackson was 17th in passing attempts, so he's not a high volume passer. Only 24 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Not a big touchdown passer either. So that's the issue. Again, the good news is when you look at the depth chart, it's Flowers and everybody else. I mean, they got Andrews, and Henry's not going to be catching too many balls out of the backfield as well. So the situation looks good on paper. The value's decent. Like what round was Zay Flowers typically be coming off? We got to take a look at that.
Let me check my app. Let me check my app real quick.
I'm putting you on the spot here. And again, it fluctuates based on PPR. It fluctuates based on how many people in your league. Now I'm taking a look here. I want to see his kind of overall, value. And then so many other guys are more expensive. I got him as wide receiver. Sorry, this is overall 48th overall. So that's where I got wide receiver 26. Which is great value for a wide receiver 1, Jim. That's insane, dude. That's wide receiver 26. When people are paying, second round draft capital for, a Diggs or a Keenan Allen who's part of a 3-headed monster where they don't even know who the wide receiver 1 is. Like, give me a Zay Flowers later, right? Like, that's the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah, I see he's being kind of drafted at his floor. You know, you talk about Anthony Richardson, he's kind of being drafted close to his ceiling right now where
Yeah,
he's going off. But Flowers is kind of being drafted basically with what he did last year. That's where he's being placed right now on the
of course.
draft board.
Hey, of
And
course.
I think there's nothing but upside for this guy. So yeah, I mean, I'm absolutely willing to take a chance on that. Yeah, I see in the app right now he's at ADP 50. So
Yeah.
yeah, end of the fourth, beginning of the fifth, great time to take a player like Flowers. I really like him. I think he's going to be great.
Absolutely. Good value for sure. Am I over the moon excited? Not really, simply because that limited season with the passing attempts of Lamar Jackson, but I definitely see the upside. All right, moving right along here. Let's keep on moving. I need some sort of transition music here. All right, moving on to the next player. Devon Achane, Devon Achane. I don't know how you pronounce. He's pronounced. How do they pronounce his name? I don't even care. I just pronounce it the way I think it sounds. So, Devon Achane. Now, let's talk about him. First and foremost, I don't, for the life of me, trust Miami running backs at all. I take a look at last year, 103 attempts. He played 11 games. I think he was banged up. Raheem Mostert had most of the bulk there. 209 attempts, just over 1,000 yards. People are crazy about a chain. Like, they're off the chain on a chain. I'm not seeing the hype. He's sitting at RB12 in PPR. And this guy's in a massive committee, dude. Like, I do not trust Miami. I don't trust the running backs. And when I look at the depth chart here, because I'm pulling it up here, they brought in Jalen Wright. They got Jeff Wilson. They got Raheem Mostert. They also got a ton of receiving options. They drafted Malik Washington. They brought in Odell. They got Jalen Waddle. They got Tyreek Hill. Tua, he's always got his question marks with health. And, dude, I'm staying. I see the speed. I see the explosiveness. I see that. But no way, man. This guy's got bust written all over him. I like the talent, don't get me wrong, but hasn't finished the season, right? And in a committee. Are you excited about a chain? Like, what's the hype all about, dude? I don't get it. I don't get it.
I can see it, man. I can see why. I mean, look at his average yards per carry. 7.8 yards per carry. That's insane. That is an insane number. That is so high. 8 touchdowns on only 100 carries, too. That's nuts, man. He is very explosive, very fast.
Off the chain.
Off the chains. Achane is off the chains. That's right. So I can see why people are super excited about this player. And, some of his big drawbacks, first of all, he was a smaller guy when he was drafted. He looked like a toothpick out there last year, but apparently he has put some weight on, which is good. Hopefully that doesn't affect his speed too much, but that bulk will definitely help him survive a season, because that obviously his durability is a massive issue. But the explosiveness of this player, he also got 37 targets in those 11 games. So that's pretty good as well. You got Mostert, who is 32 this year, and I think is definitely set for a massive regression, just as Father Time takes his toll on him. And then, you've got a bunch of other players in that backfield, but I could definitely see him taking a majority role in this backfield. And I could see why people want it. I could see why people are excited about this guy. But durability is absolutely a concern with this guy. He did not show that he had the durability you need for fantasy football last year. So that is a big risk. But I would be willing to take it should the cards fall correctly. If he falls to me at a certain point, if I'm picking early and it's like my second or early third round pick and he's still sitting on the board, I take a shot on Achane. I think that the ceiling's so high on this guy, is so explosive. And I love the Miami offense. It's just crazy explosive offensive goodness. It's great for fantasy. And if he's going to be a part of it, then yes, I would want a part of that. Yes, definitely.
Jalen Wright, they drafted him. He ran a 4.38. So they've got a fast offense. Obviously, they want to move quicker. Mostert's not the speed that they want. The fact that they brought in they drafted Jalen Wright is a concern to me, because why aren't you believing that chain? Why are you drafting more people? You've got Mostert. I mean, I guess they're kind of phasing him out, like you said. No, way too expensive for me. I'm not doing it. There's no chance. Not with this committee. If they didn't draft Jalen Wright, I'd say, sure, let's go for it. But they drafted a guy who ran a 4.38, man. And
but also he was drafted at what, the fourth round? it in front of me right now, and I'm not too concerned about guys
Yeah.
that are day 3 draft picks. I'm not super concerned about it. Certainly, there could be something there, but it's basically going to be Achane and Mostert that are running that backfield.
Yeah, 4th round. But still, I mean, they got him
Yeah.
for a reason, and all running backs are coming off late. Like they were just completely undervalued. So, anyway, I'm staying away. Out of these 3 guys, Richardson, Flowers, and Achane, Zay Flowers, the only guy that I'm considering based on value. The other 2 guys, way too expensive. I do see the ceiling with these guys. I see the upside. Are they going to break out to massive numbers? Very possible, but I think Achane's ceiling is limited due to the committee. So we'll have to see. I don't trust Miami. Next guy, I'll let you talk about him. Your guy, you drafted him recently, and nobody really knows who the wide receiver 1 is there. Dobbs, Watson. They're saying Watson is under a heavy regimen training to make sure that his hamstring thing doesn't happen, which I don't really believe. But Jaden Reed, major breakout season, wide receiver 1. You drafted him in Dynasty, so I think you're a little biased on this. But what are your thoughts on Jaden? I guess that's why you did draft him, right? You drafted him based on everything.
Well, again, my 2 quarterbacks were Lamar Jackson and Jordan Love, and so I basically paired them up. I've stacked them with what I consider their wide receiver 1s, and I'll tell you why I'm excited about Jaden Reed. He was number 2 on the team in targets last year with 94 targets as a rookie. The only player who had more targets was Dobbs, who had 96 targets. Okay, as a year 2 player. Right. So again, this is a guy, Jaden Reed placed in the top 36 wide receivers last year. Again, the upside is a potential 30% increase in his volume heading into year 2. And while there is a lot of receiving talent on this team, a lot of young receiving talent, and they really like to spread the ball. So I doubt it's going to be a full 30, but he could, again, go another 10, 15 targets next year, bring him up to about 110 targets. And I think he probably will be the most targeted player on this team. Ended up with 793 yards and 8 touchdowns on his 94 targets last year, which is very, very solid as a rookie. And again, these smaller, fast rookies, guys like Tank Dell, and players like that, they're making waves in the NFL. They are being productive. They are out there
Right.
doing very well. They used to be you wanted the really, really tall, big guys as your receivers, but these small guys have proven that they can do it. And I think it's going to be great. Oh, he also got 119 rush yards last year with an additional 2 touchdowns. So again, he's going to be involved. There's a lot of upside here, and I love him. I think he's going to be great for fantasy.
I keep going back to that playoff game where Dobbs was the alpha in the playoff game. Love was gravitating to him. Maybe he got lucky that game. I don't know. It is a 3-headed monster, but similarly, the 3-headed monster where you can get Jaden Reed for value, you're not paying a 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th round pick. You can get him later, whereas people are paying, a 2nd, 3rd round pick for a Keenan Allen or a guy like DJ Moore. Like, that is ludicrous. I would never do that. That's crazy when you get the same or similar value, because it is a 3-headed monster situation. At least you got Jordan Love, who's got rapport with Jaden Reed, right? Now you're getting Caleb Williams, who we don't know. We don't know who the 1 is in Chicago. Is it Rome Odunze? Like, we don't know. So why invest a 2nd or 3rd round pick on a spin of the dice? Like, you're guessing. Anyone who says that they know, they're guessing. And if they're suggesting this, everybody's suggesting this, right? It's on all the rankings. Like, why are you gambling with people's teams? Why are you risking it? Why aren't you being transparent, saying, hey, we're not going to put, these guys here. We got to make a decision, an executive decision and figure who the wide receiver 1 is. And even if these guys should not, they're way too overrated. All these Bears receivers are overrated. It's crazy, man. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. Honestly.
Yeah. Jaden Reed right now, ADP 70. So right at the end of the 6th round, I really like him as a 6th round pick. I think he's going to be fantastic. He is a 16 rounds player as well. So I think there's just really nice upside for Jaden Reed. And I really like the Green Bay offense. I think they're going to be great this year. So I'm excited to see how that goes.
Like, look at this though. Stephon Diggs, wide receiver 20. So 2nd round. And then Nico Collins, wide receiver 19. That makes zero sense to me.
And then Tank Dell is like 4th round. Yeah.
But it makes zero sense. But when Dell could easily be the 1. And even if Nico's not the 1, Diggs is going to be the 1. So If Diggs is going to be the one, why are you drafting Nico in round 2? And if Nico's going to be the one, why are you drafting Diggs in round 2? This is Jim. We got to talk about. I want to make sure that we blast this. Get like one of those like speaker mics, because this is ludicrous. And yet the mainstream consensus have these guys ranked right beside each other. It's like pick one or avoid. And that's where 16-round draft solution is the game changer, because I just omit both of these guys. I'm like, don't draft them, because you're basically rolling the dice. Draft somebody that's going to be the alpha on his team, especially with the 2nd-round pick. Dude, this is amazing for us and 16-rounders, because people are just going to draft on ADP. Oh, I got to get Diggs round 2. Okay, do it. Do it. I dare you. Get Nico round 2. Do it. Sure. You got a 50-50 chance that one of them becomes either the 2 or the 3 on that team. But when you got going back to Jaden Reed, sure, I will pay whatever round pick he is, after round 5, 6, 7. I don't care. I'll do that because I can afford to gamble then a little bit more than I can with my 2nd round. I'm not doing it. I get guaranteed real estate in round 2. Anyway, I had to vent about this because the way that it is this year is ludicrous. And I'm not angry because I'm going to crush the leagues. You're going to crush. 60 rounds are going to crush. What I'm angry is that the deception to the masses that aren't aware of us, that are going to be drafting based on ADP and losing their leagues. It's crazy. Anyway, the rant done. All right, next one here, Jameson Williams. I see a lot of hype about him. I was reading about Jameson Williams that the coach is saying that he is, quote, the most improved player. He's looking outstanding. And when he's, I don't know what the quote is exactly, but you're getting the gist of it. He's basically saying that he's like the most improved player. When he's out there, he's hustling, he's looking great. But the guy hasn't finished the past 2 seasons. And the fact of the matter is they paid Amon St. Brown a ton of money. They've got Jahmyr Gibbs there. They got Montgomery there. They've got Sam Laporta. This guy is a 4th to 5th option on that offense, no matter what, unless, God forbid, Amon gets injured or Laporta gets injured or Gibbs gets injured. Williams takes a step up. But as of right now, the way that it sits, similarly to the guys I was talking about earlier, even those guys better value, I'm staying away. Jameson Williams, a no for me. Will he break out? Sure, he'll have a better year than last year, but he won't break out to the point where he's gonna boom and take over unless there's an injury. Your thoughts? Do you agree on this one, or am I?
Again, he is the outside speed guy. He's the field stretcher. These guys are never good for fantasy. They're exciting. They have big highlight plays, a big, his first catch in the NFL was a 41-yard touchdown pass back in 2022. That was his only reception, but wow, what a reception he made. But look at his volume. Last year, 42 targets. That's it. He only had 42 targets. He only played in 12 games. I see his ceiling at probably around 70, as good as you're going to get. And while I think he might be a good choice for best ball, I think he's a better choice. I think really just don't draft him. I just don't think he's worth a draft pick. Too risky, not durable enough. Best ball, you need durable players. He hasn't shown that he has that durability. So it's a no for me.
Yeah. So let's recap here. Anthony Richardson, breakout, big time, sure, but it depends. Does he stay healthy? Do you trust him? But it's very expensive to draft. Zay Flowers, bigger numbers than last year, very, very viable. He was untouched in the NFL draft. Devon Achane, Jim likes him more than me. His numbers looked amazing the limited time that he played. They drafted Jalen Wright, who ran a 4.38. Be careful. Jaden Reed, definitely great value. Can be the one there. It's a coin toss, but if anyone's going to be the one, why not Jaden Reed? And then Jameson Williams, right? I'm not touching him. He's like the 4th, 5th receiving option. So, breakout, sure. Any of these guys could break out. Question is, will you draft them? And how big of that breakout is kind of the question. Hopefully we answered it to the best of our ability here. Jim, anything else you want to add to everybody?
No, I think that's it, man. I think this is a good discussion, and don't get caught up right now, man. It's smoke season in the NFL. Yeah. There are these reports. They are just stupid and trying to hype up players that you should have no interest in. Like I saw this hype news piece for Sean Tucker in Tampa Bay. And talk about how he's really improved this year. And he's working really hard and blah, blah, blah. Actually, the guy got 2 carries last year. He was we're talking, this guy is not a part of this offensive scheme.
You never know. He is a really good player. He had some injury. I don't know whether it was his heart or something was bothering him. He never really got to go. So I don't know whether it was a lack of performance or whether he was dealing with that type of injury It was something, I think it was his heart. He had some sort of heart issue, but he's a really good player. He just never got a crack. Will they give him a crack? I don't know. They also drafted somebody else. So yeah, you're right. I don't think they believe in him. If you know, and then what's his name? White got all the work there. It's crazy, man. If anyone's going to get the work, I would take Bucky Irving. You know, they got Chase Edmonds. Like Tucker is like the fourth player on that depth chart when you look at running backs right now. So maybe White goes down and then Bucky Irving steps up, or Sean, I don't know, man. But yeah, like they're just kind of pumping up guys unnecessarily sometimes, and they might not be fantasy relevant, and they're just bench stashes with potential breakouts. That's it. Like potentially, if injuries happen, that's it.
Right. And it's the longest of long shots. If Sean Tucker does do anything, he'll be on the waiver wire. Pick him up during the season. Don't draft the guy. You know, that's where I'm at with him. So, you know.
Yeah,
but there's millions of news reports about that. You know, the whole news report about Jameson Williams. You know, I mean, I'm just like, it's mostly smoke. And just hyping players. You know, these beat writers, they got to find something to talk about.
They're bored.
And yeah, they're bored. And you know, don't fall into the trap. You know, look at what's actually happening on the field. And that's a better determination of what their value is going to be. So.
And also follow the money. Amon-Ra signed a 4-year, up to $120 million deal with $77 million guaranteed. Follow the money. Amon-Ra is their guy, right? Laporta, that's their guy. It's follow the money and follow the targets. Like follow where the ball goes and where the money goes, because that's where the ball was going. It was going Laporta's way. It was going Amon-Ra's way. So don't try to sell me on Jameson Williams. I'm not buying it. That's it.
Right.
Barring any type of injury. If an injury happens, then we have a different conversation, but hopefully it doesn't. So. All right, guys. Well, that's it for today. Hope you guys have an outstanding Saturday whenever you're listening to this. Some people may just listen to this Monday morning. That's fine. We appreciate you guys. Subscribe, thumbs up, smash, tap it, and go grab 16 rounds right now. We'll talk soon, guys. We're out. Bye, Jim.
All right. Bye, Counselor. Bye, everybody.